And we're live. We're back with Dan. My friends, this is Dan Grubb from Fantastic Books Publishing, the publishing house that published, when Elite Dangerous came out, this was the publishing house that published the Elite Dangerous books, if you were wondering. Oh, there we go.
I managed to find 2 of them.
Nice one. I have a few there on my bookshelf as well. Thanks for being here, Dan. Really lovely to have you here. Thanks for agreeing again in your own time to do this for us and to have this little chat. Can you tell us a little about Fantastic Books Publishing, please? Who are you? What do you do? And so on.
I'm Dan Grubb. I've been involved with the Elite Dangerous franchise since 2014. The company's been going since 2012. And we started it because we lost my grandmother's biscuit recipe to moth sleep.
Oh.
Scrapbook. So we were mortified, so we collected all our favorite recipes and threw them onto Amazon for a free ebook to kind of immortalize them. And
excellent.
Loads of people came and said, "Hey man, you should do this for a living." It's don't be ridiculous. But we just kind of kept putting out these books, fantastic breads, fantastic cookies. You can go ahead and find them online now. And then a huge branding company from America came over and said, "Could you guys use like a load of professional branding to help the publishing house started?"
Wow.
Yeah,
nice.
Right? So they hooked it up with our first website. They hooked it up with the same logo we're using today. We had these wonderful long chats with these guys over in Chicago, and they're called the Branditarians. What self-respecting branding company wouldn't be called the Branditarians? Absolute legends. And they helped us sort of get our image up and get our sort of, get our faces out there. And then we started running charity competitions because the whole point of Fantastic Books, it's not just an optimistic company name. We still turn down to this day over 98% of our incoming submissions.
Wow.
We're just looking for the cream of the crop, but we're not looking for a huge big hit that disappears in a year, like your latest Jordan autobiography or Dead by Corpse thing. I'm talking about stuff that grandmothers are going to be passing to their grandchildren, yellowing dog-eared copies in many years to come. So we've always had a look out for the really good fiction, particularly, but just fantastic books.
Yeah, amazing. That's really good to hear that there is more to this story than just I've just had an idea for a business and I made it. And I think like you can feel these things when you deal with businesses and when you deal with people from the businesses, especially when there's something more to it than just I want to make money from the business. There's depth to it, and there is a story, and there is a purpose to it. That's really great to hear, Dan.
Absolutely. I mean, the charitable giving aspect is, if we're making some money, and our policy has always been never to make more on a single book sale than our author does. So that's just a kind of friendly to the authors thing. We think the authors are worth just as much of as the publishers, if not more. But don't tell the authors that, otherwise they'll want a bigger cut. But we get half and half with the authors, and then whatever's left over we give to a charity of their choice. And of course we vet those charities and make sure it's not the Nazi puppy stop or whatever. But essentially that's been our business model since the start. What really stuck in my mind and really kind of cemented my passion for getting this publishing house both built, expanded, and surviving was being contacted by people in the industry, people who shouldn't have really heard of me, frankly. People from Six, people contacting me just on spec. And they seem to be contacting me specifically to tell me that my business model was stupid and that we'd never last. Is there a department somewhere in the bigger publishers where literally all they do is just troll small publishers in case they make it?
Yeah.
I don't know. But that really kind of cemented my passion for doing it. Of course, having Gabby and my mother, who's always been very well connected in the literary world as well, through both her own writing and her work with the ALCS, which is the largest writing organisation in the world, really helped us get our message out. And I got to meet some really rather influential people quite early on in the business. And we're still here, Przemek. We're still here.
Nice one. That's great to hear. And it always amazes me, like when you do something of that passion, and why there is always people that have to sort of come to you and say, "Oh, you're gonna fail." Like, what drives this? You know what I mean? It's just pointless to me. Really, really pointless.
Buckets. It's about buckets, Shemek, and I've dealt with this. That's probably quite a confusing line, but I won't at the moment. But it's about buckets. It's a wonderful analogy. As lots of you know, we adopted our daughter when she was just under 1.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing so, there's lots and lots of different children's books and literature for parents and adoptive parents and stuff. And it's explaining types of people. It's explaining how to deal with certain types of people.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the beautiful analogies was everyone's wandering around with a bucket. And if I do something nice for you, then you put something in my bucket fills up, and maybe I get a little happier or a little more content. And in doing so, you feel good for doing it. So I'll put something in your bucket. But there's a particular strata of people, and it's fine. The world's made up of all sorts of different people. But there's a particular strata of people in society who are determined to spend their lives being either resentful at other people's success. That's quite a big driver, the classic kind of jealousy thing. Or just for the sheer hell of it, I want to make you feel bad. Oh, wonderful! I made you feel bad. Give me something from your bucket. And these people just take things from other people's bucket.
That's true.
And if you spend your whole life doing that, you know what? You've got a bucket full of other people's stuff. Well done. But I'm not interested in that sort of life. That's, I've never been interested in being a hedge fund manager or these kind of ruthless top level business types. Now, plenty of opportunities over the year to sort of start on those various career ladders. But I like this, what I'm doing now, because I made it. I built it from the ground up. We built all the policies from the ground up. We're completely compliant with everything. We're completely transparent, and I'm content. And
great to hear people like that, still exist in the world. And really, the thing you said about the buckets reminded me of something else. I read this in Dean Koontz' book. I can't remember which one it was. I don't know if you know Dean Koontz. He's like he doesn't write horrors, but they sort of like scary sort of. Yeah, I love this guy. But anyway, in one of his books, he's compared the universe to like a big musical instrument. And when you do your actions, they're like chords that you play in your life. Okay. And then they resonate, they go across the whole universe, and they then get bounced off the border or the walls of the instrument, and they come back and they affect everything that they pass. So if you play good melody, then you're going to have good effect on everything, and then it's going to come back to you multiplied by, it's sort of like karma thing, but in terms of like musical analogy. And that really, the buckets, it's sort of like that. It reminded me of this.
It's a karmic vibe, except that with karma, you can't really, if indeed karma's a thing and it's a force out there in the world, with karma, you can't really avoid the consequences, whereas you can avoid people who only take
definitely
people's buckets. And it's been a turbulent few years, frankly, but that turbulence is wonderful. It's like the fisherman going out in his little boat, going for the best fishing spot, and risking the lives of his whole crew to get there through the most turbulent waters. But once you get there, not only have you got a very trusted, much tighter crew around you, but you've left all the people behind who wouldn't dare go through the turbulence in the first place, right? So it's been quite cleansing, quite cathartic, really. And it's been nice. It's been nice. I'm not going to lie to you. The lockdown, in our extremely privileged situation, because we're right in the middle of East Yorkshire, so we're barely touched by this thing. Yeah. On a kind of, the masses mixing up together thing. We've had the opportunity to use online shopping and stuff, and essentially lock down geographically to our house with a lovely garden. And I realise that's not something most people have got. So I understand our position of privilege in that respect. But it's been absolutely wonderful being stuck here in the garden and able to work. And then Lacey will come and race through, my 4-year-old, and she'll knock on the door, and I'll just hit pause on what I'm doing because I'm the boss and I can, and I'll just head out and go and, I don't know, be a horse for a while, right? just silly little things like that I realize it's a massive privilege to be able to do. But what you need to do if you want your life to look like that is to work your ass off for the 10 years leading up to it. Because
definitely.
And we're still working our ass off now. I mean, right here, I just want to point it out to your viewers. This is the Gorgon Loch. This is not an advert. I'm here to promote Shemek and the SpecialEffect stream. But this is my office, and every wall of my office is full of cartons because our Kickstarter started to fulfill. So I'm surrounded on all sides by the Gorgon's Loch. The reason for that is because it's much better for me to eyeball every single game as I'm giving it out, packing it up to every single backer, because then I know that at least when it leaves my hand and heads to the post office, the thing that I'm handing them is a sincere thank you for helping us, as opposed to, hello, distribution company, here's 900 boxes, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If we asked for just shy of £20,000 when we got it. If that turned into 200,000, then yes, I am going to be using distributors all over the world. And yes, I will be shipping huge, great pallets of stuff all over the world. But while it's still small and intimate like this, just like the cookbooks, while it's still intimate like this, I have no choice but to put myself into it, and it's a real privilege, because there are a lot of people who would love to be as busy as I am, and they just don't have the opportunity. So
I agree, definitely. And during the pandemic, I was speaking to my wife as well, and just saying same things, like how lucky we are to be able to keep our jobs and work from home, and not having to worry about all of these things that I've read online about horrible stories. But anyway, let's not talk about horrible things. Let's talk about nice things. So let's move on to Elite Dangerous, because I know that you guys have published the Elite Dangerous books when the game first came out in 2014. It was 14. It was. So how was this project started? How did you know about the game? Were you a fan? Did you play the previous games? And how did you manage to secure the rights to publishing Elite series books?
Through wonderful serendipity, frankly. I've told you the story about how we started with the whole cookbooks and everything else, and about the charity anthologies we were putting together. We were running these writing competitions, and the cream of the crop were put together into an anthology. Our first anthology is called Fusion. One of the writers in Fusion is Mr. Drew Wagar, who you may recognise the name.
Yes, definitely.
So Amanda Wagar sent us a awesome little short for the competition, and it was called Metal. Amazing short story. Go and read it. I'm pretty sure if you go for the see inside option on the Fusion Anthology now on Amazon, you can actually read Metal in its entirety. I don't know if that kind of swapped around, but I think you read the entire story for free. So go ahead and have at it, and then immediately buy the anthology, obviously. So what we do is we don't just take your story and think, yep, that's good enough, tick, well done, let's whack that into an anthology and send Amazon a Word file or whatever. We then begin our professional editorial service, which is a kind of to and fro between the professional editor and the author until they get that story as good as it can possibly be.
Wow.
Drew enjoyed that process so much that when he himself crowdfunded for a license to write an official Elite Dangerous book, he then approached us to publish it.
Yeah. All right. Nice. Okay.
So we didn't actually buy the license. Drew's wonderful backers and fans from back in the day, when he really wanted to write this book, they bought the license, or in fact, Drew did with their money through the Kickstarter. And again, Drew's Kickstarter was a really good example of these kind of instantly negative people. He got lots and lots of negative press. Who is this charlatan? He's running a Kickstarter to fund, getting a Kickstarter. I've been tempted. The Feel 3 VR full 360 movement you can get in your house. I've been tempted to run a Kickstarter just to buy Commander down one of them, please. Right? This was different. This was driven entirely by Drew's passion for the Elite universe, all the games he's played. Now, if the original Elite is here and Elite Dangerous is here, Drew has just run the gamut. If you go online, if you haven't already, and I'm sure you have yourself, Shevek, but some of your watchers may not, your viewers may not have, go online, go and check out Drew's lore series. He's done over 100 hours on the deep, both micro and meta lore of the Elite Dangerous universe, and where it started, and certain discrepancies throughout, and all the rest. He's spewed loads of Galnet articles and stuff out. He doesn't do that anymore. Frontier aren't sort of accepting stuff from other people anymore. They've kind of taken it in-house. But he's put loads of content into the new game, and he has an encyclopedic knowledge of the game, the whole franchise from start to finish. My experience was looking over my brother's shoulder on the BBC Electron, watching him kill Pirate on the original Elite, because I was too little. I was 11. I wasn't too little. My brother was too greedy. My brother was too greedy.
I see.
So I was basically watching him play this awesome space game, and it seared into me this looks absolutely fantastic. And then life took over. And then literally when Drew got hold of me and said, we're interested in this. We started chatting when we were doing the editing for his Metal story for the very first charity anthology we did. And we got chatting. I got to know him a little bit, and we became friends. And we just sort of having the conversation about, and inevitably Elite came up. And it was that point he told me about everything in between, because I thought, there's a new Elite. They're renewing Elite as Elite Dangerous. And I remember the original from back in the day. I had no idea about Frontier, about the Frontier 2.
All right, okay.
No idea at all. So he started telling me about all these things and all the various mods people made. In Frontier Elite 2, you could get a mod to fly the Millennium Falcon around the place and stuff like that. Of course, the Star Wars crowd got onto it. But it was just amazing to see how this universe has been completely embraced while you guys waited for the new one for 30 years. It's pretty incredible. There's games from 30 years ago that people cannot even recall, they'll have never heard of. Yeah. But there's been this kind of underlying passion. I think that speaks to, I mean, at the time it was Ian Bell and David Braben together, but it speaks to the incredible, not only the technical achievement, but you can do technically wonderful things that bore the pants off people. So they've clearly had excellent gameplay and just rivers of passion have been poured into this thing. And like you were saying about the resonance through the universal instrument, as it were, well, those waves were clearly strong enough and resonating and coming back.
Yeah, definitely.
To very quickly fund the Kickstarter and very quickly fund all these various official licenses. Now, Drew was the first to go for the official license, I believe, but lots and lots of licenses were released. And Drew was very vocal about how good it was to work with us. So inevitably, when people got hold of a license and another Kickstarter ticked over, one of the first people they'd approach is me. And I put them in contact with Drew for his experience, but also, to talk about what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. And that led eventually to the world's largest collection of official Elite
Excellent,
data.
That's great. I have one follow-up question. The idea for the because from the books, what do you call it? The backs of the books, there is like a little screenshot from Elite. There is a space station. If you put them all together.
Oh yeah, on the spines.
Yeah, on the spines. There is like, whose idea was that?
Right. So. Ramon Moret, who is the author of one of the stories in Chris Booker's collection. There's Chris Booker's an author of one of the 15 stories in Elite Tales from the Frontier. It's a big, chunky old book. It's wonderful. It's the largest of our collection. There's 15 individual stories. They run from just a few thousand words right up to kind of novella length. There's some amazing authors in there. I daren't list them, Shevek, because I don't have a list right here, and I refuse to risk missing anyone out. However, it was Chris Booker's brainchild to put it together, and my favourite story, that happens to be the shortest story in the anthology as well, is The Easy Way Out by Ramon Moret. Loved it. Super simple. The story's been told a million times before. There's very little that's unique in the world of publishing and the world of literature. It's just about the way you execute it. And I thought it was executed exquisitely. So I still love the story. I must have read the damn thing 100 times. It's really funny. It's quite tragic. Read the thing. So Ramon Moret, unbeknownst to us, was also quite a high flyer in the advertising industry. And he wasn't a suit, a besuited millionaire sitting up there in his ivory tower. He was at the coalface doing things like CGI and animations, and he's a beautiful, amazing digital artist. He's done lots of our book covers since. I wish I'd had the presence of forethought to grab a few. But anyway, you can check out the entire of Stuart Aiken's Generation Mars series, for example. He's created all that artwork, including animated sort of short promo videos and things like this. And this is what he did for a living. So the very first offline launch for all the books was the very first Fantasticon, which of course, apart from the last couple of years because of the COVID thing, has become our annual science fiction, fantasy and gaming event ever since. And Ramon wanted to create, this was his vision, a Cobra Mark III swimming through the void like this, with its sort of two ice blue trails behind it. One thing, with the Fantastic Books Publishing logo on either side, just heading off into the void, and like these kind of cinematic promo adverts are, and just sort of whacking up the date and Fantasticon and be there, all the usual, right? But Frontier, understandably at the time, were a little bit wary about handing out wireframe models that they'd spent hundreds of thousands of pounds working on and creating anything else. So Ramon, being a big fan of the original game, got it with his pal, I forget his name now, but he was the main artist, and they actually built it from scratch. If you look at the super cheesy advert for the very first Fantastic, you will see a moment where there's a Cobra Mark III sort of swirling through, and they built that from scratch using just from memory and from promotional stills that Frontier had put out, and this sort of as reference, and they built it from scratch, and I'm still amazed by it. So I took a screenshot from that at Ramon's suggestion, and the screenshot itself is basically it's the space station here. Okay, and there's a lovely little section right down the center that shows the Cobra and the bit of the circular orbital bit, and that's what we did. And we took that and we graded it all out, and they're not even in line, so I can't even show you. Reclamation got the majority of the Cobra. You can probably just anyway. But that Cobra itself is the one that was put together in bits.
Wow. All right. Nice. We had a couple of questions from the chat as well. There was one question about comic books from Elite Dangerous. Is it possible to, would you do comic books?
I would love to. They are extremely resource intensive, because if you imagine the standard comic book page, you're probably looking at a dozen squares, maybe. Each one of those will be an individually beautiful piece of art, and you have to pay the artist that.
Of course.
So you're looking at pouring probably tens of thousands of pounds into a project that would eventually be a 15-minute read, ebook, and/or right. So it has to be a passion-led project. But I think when I become a millionaire, I'll approach Frontier.
Fair enough.
Absolutely. But I think as far as a commercial product is concerned, I don't think you're going to find a viable commercial product. But what you might is, for example, if someone does want to get together, use crowdfunding or similar, put together a project like that, and you want to turn one of our books into that, then we would quite happily sell the license.
Definitely. Which nice one. Well, I hope you will become a millionaire once at some point, Dan, so we can read Elite Dangerous comic books then.
I just need to shift about 150,000 of these and
soon enough. There was a question about Kate Russell, if it's from Fantastic Books as well, but yes, it is. I can answer that. And there is a question, did you ever read Graham Masterton books?
I didn't.
Or do you like them? No, never.
No, I'm afraid
there
not.
You go, chat.
Oh, sorry about that.
Okay, moving forward, because I'm just conscious of time. We only have like 20 minutes left. So, conscious of time. If there are more Elite-themed books to be released, would you be keen on doing this again?
Yeah, I think I would. It was quite a roller coaster, because we were a very young company at the start. We're a much more robust company now, and we've got some very robust sort of systems now that we can run our incoming stuff through. Which makes the whole thing much more streamlined and easier on everyone involved. Yes, I think I probably would. I think a sucker for punishment though I am, Shemek, I think I probably would, yeah. It's still a real privilege to be able to say that we remain the largest single publisher of Elite Dangerous fiction, and to be able to say that, the last almost 10 years is just...
Nice. Well, never say never. Maybe we can make that happen at some point.
Absolutely.
In the future. Did you read all of the books from Elite that you've published? Which one is your favorite then?
Okay, I have a reasonably diplomatic answer for this, if you'll allow me. Favorite story from the anthology? Easy Way Out.
Oh yes, I remember. Yeah, goosebumps straight away. Look at this one, straight away.
The darkest story from the anthology, The Maledict, formerly The White Maledict. Shudder. It's do that thing. Also, the Tales from the Frontier anthology is a really fantastic, because it's got all of the authors are huge, lifelong, passionate fans of both Elite and all the lore that surrounds it. As with any lore thing, each individual author has been grabbed by the heart by one particular patch of it, and often those patches are chronological. Right? So as you go through the anthology, you leap timelines and you leap around this vast...
That's a great entry into Elite Universe, actually, this anthology.
Because it gives you a good kind of sprinkling.
Definitely.
And some of the stories get quite deep and quite, and there is very subtle links between half a dozen of them as well, but I won't spoil that. I'll let the more in-depth intellectual you find that out. Kate Russell's, read it. If you're reading chapter 10, don't read it out loud to children. It's hilarious, it's dark, it's funny, it's emotional at times. it's a rip roaring read, and I love it. That's pretty much all I'm going to say about it. And if you happen to have an overbearing parent of one gender or the other, then go ahead and hit that. You will enjoy it. Let's move on to. Well, I think I have to finish, Drew. So I'm going to move now on to the penultimate one, which is John Harper's Elite and Hear the Wheel. It's Die Hard in the Elite universe. It's John Wick in the Elite universe. It's Demolition Man on steroids in the Elite universe. It's absolutely full throttle. I've wept while reading certain scenes. I've been literally on the edge of my seat to the point that I fell off and ridiculous.
Yeah, that's a true story. You actually fell off the chair reading that book.
Yeah, when reading, okay, it's no spoiler to say that in this particular scene, Gary clan were running away from someone quite powerful, right? Because that happens quite a lot throughout the book. Because they're a small pirate clan who's a family, right? And they never leave a man behind. And this, they're quite a, they're the pirate you'd want to be if you had to be a pirate, right? They're a super tight family. It's got quite a, dare I say it, Firefly kind of vibe about the family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really, they're really, really tight. And in this one particular scene, I don't. It's too spoilery, show. But anyway, I'm reading this particular scene, and it's a literal page turner. And as I turn the page like this, I'm so desperate to find out what happened. I go from the bottom right of the page, and I turn it on reading the hardback, and I go to the top left, and as I go like this, I realise just how close to the edge of the sofa I am, and my ass hits the floor.
Great.
So, yeah,
oh, beautiful.
It's not the only book that's ever done that to me, either ours or others, but yeah, true story. So it's a page turner, and it will probably knock you off the edge of the seat. So enjoy your full throttle action stuff. And finally, of course, dear Mr. Wagar, what more can you say about Elite Reclamation that hasn't already been said? It introduced Salome. It drove all that, but essentially the kind of first huge player-led thing that Frontier Developments really got behind. It's got action, it's got adventure, it's got romance, it's got it's an incredible effort to have been put in. Every single line in the thing has been carefully researched and carefully put together to really pluck those heartstrings that Drew meant to. He plays his readers like a puppet, and it's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful.
It is a great. Actually, I quite liked it as well. Actually, it is a really good book.
I think my favourite remains the anthology, just because of the vast sort of the breadth of experience. Yeah. I think particularly people who aren't familiar with anything more about Elite Dangerous than the game, I think dive into the anthology.
Yeah, I would say the same. I would say mine's on the anthology as well, because it was, like I said, it's a great entry, and it's just so diverse as well. That's what I loved about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, moving forward then. Do you play Elite nowadays at all? Elite Dangerous? And if so, what do you normally do in the game?
Right, I don't have time to play Elite Dangerous, so what I tend to do is I tend to jump into the loading screen, update it, feel better about the fact that I've updated, and promise myself I'll go and play. My hot ass setup I'm not going to say it's covered in dust in that kind of when you use phrases like that when you're trying to let people know you haven't used it for a while. Mine is literally covered in dust. There's not a thing. It's been ages between. I mean, the 6 months I went to Poland. That's a long time, and nobody's dragging all that kit over there. I don't have anything to run it on Ultra. I've got a GTX 1080 Ti in this thing. And I use that mainly for video editing. So if I'm not editing videos or doing other kind of publisher-related stuff, then I'm running the gaming division. So, and if I'm not doing either of those things, then like I said earlier to you, I'm being a horse in the garden, or I'm we're bouncing up and down on the trampoline, or I'm generally trying to be a decent dad to my daughter, or I'm trying to be a decent hubby to my wife. So I don't get masses of time to play games. So when I do play games, I've decided to. Because I'm in my early to mid 40s now, I'm 43, so I'm aiming for that mid 40s thing. So I'm waiting that middle-age spread thing to happen. I've seen it happen. I don't like it. I'm active. So I went out and got myself an Oculus Quest 2, the completely standalone head. Yeah. Love military simulators, big kind of military guy gaming-wise. So I've got a game called Onward.
Oh, yeah, I know this one. Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. It's amazing because it doesn't have a crouch or a prone button, but if you want to be good at the game, you need to both crouch and be prone, and you need to go ahead and do that on your own carpet. And you're moving all the time, and it's a really good way to both play loads of games and be really fit, or at least stay.
I agree. VR does that to you.
Yeah,
definitely.
So maybe an hour, 2 hours a week just for my hobbies, and I'll use 1 hour a week to play games, and it's usually Onward, and the other hour I'll use flying this little thing around the place.
Yes, yeah.
The micro drones, right? Mm-hmm. That's the hobby. So no, the simple answer, mate, amazingly, is I don't play Elite Dangerous, but I watch as much stuff as I can. I'm glued to the newsletter every week. Mm-hmm. I chat with Zach regularly. He's become a close personal friend, so it's nice to have that kind of in and be able to sort of find out about all the latest updates and how excited he remains about everything. Mm-hmm. It's the Zach, incidentally, it isn't the Zach he just
Zach
had
Antonacci.
On. Legend is Zach Antonacci I'm talking about.
Because we had Zach Cocken from. There's two Zachs at Frontier now.
So, I didn't know until I caught the last 15, 20 minutes of that stream. Nice guy, great guy. The thing about the community managers, can I swear on your stream?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, they take a lot of shit unnecessarily.
I agree, yes.
The game's broken. Right, let's immediately dive on the person who's been employed to look after the community channels.
Yes, definitely.
That's not the person. That's not the person. Maybe be polite, ask questions. You might get some info back. I understand there's an awful lot of heat and stuff happens. And I don't want your chat to explode about, the Odyssey being least broken and all this sort of thing, because I know that there was lots and lots of issues, and Frontier know there was lots and lots of issues. And if they had have delayed it for 6 months to tidy all those issues up, then that 6 months would have been absolutely rammed full of lots and lots. Do you know? So they're kind of damned if they do and damned if they don't. So I still retain huge respect for Frontier Developments for forging this game forward and continuing to add such amazing levels to it after all these years.
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely.
Some games were just
Dan,
cool.
Sorry, we only have like 9 minutes left, so. I'm gonna skip a couple of questions, but the one I'm really interested in. Sorry to rush it, but we're just a little bit delayed, and I've got another person just lining up already. I'm really interested in just coming back to books for a bit. Do you only sell paper? Or do you do ebooks as well? And I think you do ebooks.
Yeah, we do. We release everything as a print-on-demand paperback initially, and then people can kind of grab it, read it, review it, and then about a month and a half later, usually there's the official launch, which is the launch of the ebook that people have been able to sort of pre-order up to that point. So we always do print-on-demand paperback ebooks, and if the books sell really, really well, then we'll do a short hardback run. So we end up with kind of collectible hardbacks like the Elite stuff.
So what would you say the proportions are? Do people read more ebooks or paperbacks nowadays?
The collectors buy more paperbacks. The readers consume ebooks. So I think it's genuinely down to space in people's houses, and as a result, ebooks are edging out. I mean, print books are holding their own. It's strange, actually. It's been this kind of, people consider it a battle, but it's no more a battle between escalators and stairs and lifts as a way to get between levels, right? It's just different ways of people consuming literature. And yes, if they're in their 20s and 30s and they want something to read on the beach, they're probably not going to take a huge, great anthology in hardback with them. But nor is a 40 or 50-year-old sitting at home with the 3 or 4 hours they finally got to themselves, glass of port in the evening, going to necessarily fire up an e-reader, or squint at a phone, right? So it's different markets. But if you want to bunch them all together into this sort of readers, then I would say ebooks definitely have the edge as far as books are concerned.
Yeah, I was expecting that answer, but I was just curious. I personally like you say, I'm the same. If there is a book I really, really want, I will buy it in a physical form because I just want that on my shelf just to be there and look nice. Yeah. But if it's just a book I'm interested to read, I would just buy an ebook, put it on my Kindle, and then.
If you're going to go ahead and buy a book, you're not necessarily going to go ahead and buy the entire series just in case you think the first book's crap, right? But with an ebook, usually, if a series is on offer, you can get the single book for a massively discounted, or there's going to be some deal attached to it where if you do like it, you can then have the whole series for X. I think Kindle Unlimited at the minute, they've got tens of thousands of titles that you can, I think it's £3 or £4 a month, and you can go ahead and just read however much you want. So this has become a thing as well now. Where people are subscription services seems to be the future in publishing anyway. I can't really see how it's going to work for my business, but we are investigating it. But people are subscribing to companies and then getting free and open access to all of their content. Now that's a dangerous thing for us to do at the moment, because all our stuff is DRM free. It's all digital rights management free.
Yeah.
It means if you buy an ebook and then drop your reader down the toilet, you go back to your store page on our store and grab the ebook again and just keep doing that. Now Amazon do that, but what you then can't do with the Amazon stuff is you can't then lend it to someone. Here, read this, without physically passing them your e-reader.
Of course, yeah.
Ours, you pay a little bit more for the ebooks, but then you've got them forever. And we know that if pirates want to steal our books, they can steal them. And if your business is pirating ebooks, you can get round any DRM stuff anyway. It doesn't work. Reason the only person it inconveniences is the reader, so that's why I stripped it all away. So if you buy one of our ebooks, it's yours, and if you want to spread it around for free, then please don't do it excessively. But if you want to lend it to your brother, or you want to think your nan might like it and she's in another city, so you want to email it to her, we're not going to kick the door off for you doing that, because people lend books to one another.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't we want people to lend our books to one another? That's how they spread the word. All that we ask is, we're still a very small outfit, so if you like our books, let us know. The classics, get on social media and say how cool it was. Take a picture of the book itself with the cover. Put a link to the buying link. Maybe go leave a review if you really liked it, right? So it's this sort of activity that small companies need and large companies have the budget to pay for. That's the kind of cruel truth of it. So we still need actual humans who liked our book to go on the internet and tell other humans.
Spread the word, yeah, definitely. Well, hopefully people will be spreading the word continuously. I think we have time for one more question, so let's do this one. I know that you're also plan to expand into the board games now, and I believe you have. Well, we have the proof just behind you with all of the boxes of the Gorgon's Lock. So can you tell us what is it all about? Is it out yet? Is it actually, because I know that you've been doing Kickstarter for it. Is it actually released yet, or? Yeah,
the Kickstarter's completed. It's here. This is actually the commercial product sitting here in both my house and my office right here. There are 1,000 boxes. Our wonderful Kickstarter backers, our generous adventurers who joined us on that journey. There's 232 boxes being headed out to them. Very pleased to say that we've finished shipping all of the UK ones today. There's 4 or 5 EU ones to go, and then a huge great mountain of US ones to go as well. So I'm going to be busy for a week or two doing that. However, once all those guys are out and we know we've got the stock and everything for those, then we're going to start pushing the retail product. It is available now through the Fantastic Bookstore. So if you go to the Fantastic Bookstore, click on latest releases, and you'll see a copy of the Gorgon's Lock for 35 quid with free UK postage. If you live elsewhere in the world, it'll calculate your postage based on 2 kilos, because that's what it weighs. And yeah, we're hoping to shift all of them and use that profit to first drive another print run to get 4,000 or 5,000 copies of this out into the world, and then start expanding into
what's the game about?
Well, the Gorgon's Lock, it's got nothing to do with Scottish bodies of water.
I was wondering that,
Yeah, it's the Polish webshimmick because of my Polish roots and my Polish wife and everything. So it's the Gorgon's Dungeon.
So it's I see. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So it's Loch, Chate, it's Loch, it's Gorgon's Loch. It's
Gorgon's Loch. That's
Lochy Gorgona. That's how I would say it in Polish.
Lochy Gorgona. So when the Polish translation comes out, which of course will be the first translation released, it will be Lochy Gorgona.
Nice touch. The final question.
Yes, go.
And this is the one I didn't send you. This is the one. This is an extra from me. Okay. I apologize in advance because I just have to ask this. Having recently made this mistake a few times when I was announcing this stream and telling about the guests who will be here, how often people say Fantastic Boobs Publishing instead of Fantastic Books Publishing?
Quite often. Autocorrect absolutely screws us on that most of the time. There have been a couple of official emails where Fantastic Boobs. We've had... The strangest thing is me misspelling the word fantastic. So we all make spelling errors, and I'm not my editorial staff. I'm not my proofreaders, right? Oh, the pain, the suffering I get because I see this email sitting in my sent box, and I'll just sit there and stew over it for hours. Oh, it's terrifying. So, publishers, don't worry about if you call us Fantastic Boobs Publishing. That's fine.
The amount of time I've said it in the recent week is just every single time, and I'm like, oh, why it just comes out naturally.
Fantastic. Don't tempt me. I mean, we've got an ebook division, an audiobook division. Now I've got a gaming division. I don't know, an underwear division. Fantastic boobs, temptation. Yeah.
Oh man, Dan, thank you so much for coming over. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, I could talk with you for another hour. I think I'm gonna do 2-hour interviews next year because an hour is definitely not enough for every single viewer. And I said that the last year as well, and I didn't take that lesson. But maybe next year.
I have. May I have 20 seconds of your time to run into?
Of course.
Okay, cool. First 10 seconds, Frontier Development, super looking forward to Lemnis Gate, getting some real Edge of Tomorrow vibes from that. Desperate to play that, looking great.
I love that game.
They've also grabbed hold of a Warhammer game as well. That license was not cheap.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm trying to get our stuff into the library. That license was not cheap. So that's a huge investment on it. Hopefully, kick-ass game. So a big up to Frontier for that. Massive big up to the SpecialEffect team. Dr. Mick and the guys are just continuing to do such wonderful work. So all of you watching right now, if you've put a few quid in already, go and throw a few quid in again if you've got it. As soon as I come off this stream, I'm going to go and throw a few quid in there as well because
Thank you.
Totally worth it. I've been an ambassador for a SpecialEffect now since they approached me in 2014, and it's just a wonderful journey of love and support and happiness and just positive vibes, like a volcano of positive vibes. So they need your support.
Absolutely
and
amazing.
Give them the wider it's going to get. And finally, if you want to copy the Gorgon's Lock and you want to win it on Shemek's stream over the course of whenever he can squeeze it in between now and the end of his thing, I'll throw in a signed copy of this.
Oh, wow.
With one pack of the special dice we've got made up, just a kind of special one. And also one of the shiny Gorgon's Lock
Dan,
dice.
thank you for this. That's amazing. Chat. This is great.
With free worldwide posted. So Shemek, just let me know who's won it and where. And
excellent. I will add it to the list of prizes to be won. Right. Thank you, Dan. That's really generous of you. Really. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you for this. No words.
Give Shemek some money. He's tired. He didn't take he spent the whole time talking to me. He didn't even take a break. When's the last time you hydrated, boy?
I'm drinking all the time. It's the water. It's the water here.
Okay,
I'm exhausted from preparing this stream. To be fair already. Anyway, Dan, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for talking to us.
Good pleasure. Fair welcome, Anders.
Hopefully, see you on the next one as well.
Indeed, yeah, absolutely. Call me up, man.
Nice one. Thanks.
Carol.
Speak to you soon. Bye.
Bye.